You know, some stories are just a bit of fun, but every now and then, one comes along that feels less like fiction and more like a prophecy. Today, we're diving into a classic anime that, get this, over 45 years ago, painted a shockingly accurate picture of our relationship with artificial intelligence. This is the story of how a space pirate from 1978 warned us about the very future we are building right now.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with the big question. What if all the anxieties we have today about AI, about losing our skills, our creativity, maybe even our free will, what if all of that was perfectly captured in a Japanese anime, way back before anyone had even dreamed of an iPhone? What if the real ancestor of ChatGPT wasn't some computer program, but a dystopian cartoon?
So to really understand this, we got to travel back to 1978 in the world of Albator, Le Corsaire de l'Espace, or as many know it, Captain Harlock. And trust me, this wasn't just some show about cool spaceships. It was a deep, powerful social critique hiding inside a space opera.
Now take a look at this timeline, because this is where it gets wild. The show was made in '78, but it was set almost 1,000 years in the future, in 2977. But the amazing thing is, its biggest warnings about a society that's become lazy and dependent on its tech, they don't feel like they're about some distant future at all. Honestly, it feels like a documentary about today.
So what did this future actually look like? Well, on the surface, it seemed like a total paradise. Humanity had achieved this state of complete comfort and leisure. But you scratch that surface and you find something rotten underneath, a civilization that had become completely, blissfully, apathetic.
Just try to picture it, a world where humanity has totally outsourced the job of survival. In the year 2977, this massive network of automated robots, it's basically a planet-sized AI. It handles all the manufacturing, all the resource gathering. Everything you could ever want is just provided for free. But see, when you outsource labor, you start to outsource purpose. And that was the first big step towards automating humanity itself.
And here we go, this is the absolute key. To keep this idle population in check, the government has something called the abrutisseur mondio-visuel. It literally means the world visual stupefier. Think of it like the ultimate algorithmic feed. It's a planet-wide media network just pumping out hypnotic, totally meaningless entertainment 24/7. And it's not designed to inform you or connect you. Nope. Its only job is to pacify you, to replace your critical thoughts with passive consumption.
And this just lays out the cost of all that automated comfort so perfectly. This endless, hypnotic entertainment creates a society that has literally forgotten how to think for itself. People think they're happy, but it's only because they can't remember what it feels like to make a real, meaningful choice. Their free will has just been quietly handed over to the machine that keeps them entertained, which leaves you with a population that is incredibly easy to control. And the result of all this decay, it's summed up in one perfect, pathetic moment. When a genuine, world-ending threat finally appears on the horizon, what does the Prime Minister of Earth do? He doesn't command his forces, he doesn't come up with a strategy, he literally hides under his bedsheets. It's the ultimate symbol of a people who have delegated responsibility for so long they don't even know how to act to save themselves.
Okay, I know, this might sound like some pretty far-fetched sci-fi stuff, but this is the moment where the past becomes a mirror. Let's take a look at how this fictional dystopia from 2977 basically serves as a blueprint for the digital world we're living in right now. And yeah, the reflection is pretty unsettling.
Just look at these parallels. The world visual stupefier. Hello, that's the infinite algorithmic scroll on our phones, literally engineered to capture and hold our attention. The automated robots that replaced all human work? Well, that's the promise and the danger of generative AI like ChatGPT, which can now write, encode, and create for us. The show is warning us that the end result isn't just a bit of distraction. It's a society that willingly plugs itself into a system that does the thinking and creating on its behalf.
So this brings us right to the core warning of the entire series. What is the real price we pay for all this technological comfort? What essential human skills are we actually risking when we delegate not just our work, but our thinking?
And believe it or not, science actually has a name for this. It's called cognitive offloading. It's when you use a calculator for simple math you could do in your head, or use GPS to get somewhere you've been a dozen times. Every time we do it, we're handing off a mental task to a tool. Yeah, it's efficient, sure,
but it's also a tiny little surrender, a small abdication of our own mental independence.
And what this does is it creates a really dangerous cycle. First, we delegate the task. Then, because we're not using that mental muscle anymore, the skill itself just starts to wither away. This is the exact process that created the passive, helpless citizens of 2977. It's death by 1,000 conveniences, 1,000 tiny little delegations of thought, until there's no independent thought left at all.
And that loss of skill leads directly to an erosion of responsibility. Harlock's leaders ignore existential threats, they just trust the system will handle it. Today we have a term for it: automation complacency. It's when we become so reliant on automated systems that we just stop paying attention. And that's how accountability just dissolves. When the AI makes a mistake, who's to blame? This is how free will dies in a society, not with a bang, but with a shrug and someone saying, well, the system's in charge.
So what's the ultimate takeaway here? Captain Harlock's famous skull and crossbones, it wasn't just a cool pirate flag. It was a symbol of rebellion against a very specific kind of death, the death of the human mind and the total surrender of free will.
So let's be really clear about this. Albator was this incredibly prophetic, cautionary tale about the seductive danger of comfort. It warned us that the most perfect prison is the one we happily build for ourselves, screen by screen, prompt by prompt, until we have willingly automated our own souls.
And that, right there, is what makes Harlock such an enduring hero. His rebellion wasn't really against aliens. It was a desperate, all-out fight to reawaken human consciousness. He was battling to take back our own agency from a stupefying machine that humanity had mistaken for its salvation.
Which, of course, leaves us with one final, very urgent question. As we wave these amazing new tools, like generative AI, into the very fabric of our lives, the warning from 1978 is no longer fiction. Are we building a partner for our intellect, or are we building a replacement for our will? Will we remain the captains of our own minds, or will we, in the name of convenience, quietly allow technology to raise its black flag over our own consciousness?